Welcome to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to be breaking down the Critics' Choice Award nominations. We're also going to reveal some of our picks from the ballot. As always, I'm joined by my partner here and freshly back from Black Cinema Critics' Choice celebration, Mr. Dom Fisher. How are you, man?
What's popping, Colonels? It's getting close to Christmas. Movies are out here popping off. We had Travis Hunter announced as the Heisman winner. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff going on, and the closer we get to the end of this year, the more the stress piles up. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but every year, the holidays, it's like, oh yeah, the holidays, and then it just is just mounting stress on top of stress. Like it's a weird time where we want to be happy, but the happiness just is partnered with all this stress. But for the most part, I'm straight. I try not to let it all get to me too much because I'm not super into Christmas, as most people know. So I just try to play tag team partner to my wife and try to keep all heads level. Was the one thing they never prepare you for when you enter into a union, which we all know about it, but you're never quite prepared for it. It's just the fact of two of everything as far as families. When it's holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, it's a lot of give and take, push and pull. Are we going to go over here? Are we going to go over there? Are we going to do both? Like, what is it? And it's a headache sometimes, ho, 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 and all that.
It's a lot, man. So for my work, I have like 9 days off or whatever through the holidays, which is awesome. Fantastic. Love it. Appreciate my job for that. But then you realize, as you say, you're doing the multiple holidays. So it's like one holiday's here, one holiday's there. Christmas, and then there's like Christmas, and then there's like going here, going there. And I'm like, when I look at my 9 days off, I'm like, there's like 2 days, like 2 days that I'm getting to kind of really kind of enjoy those 9 days off. And then it flies by, you know what I mean? Because you're so busy, you're doing so much, you wake up and then all those days are gone. So, but yeah, it's been a crazy week of nominations galore. We had the Golden Globes, we had the Critics' Choice, we had a lot of different things unfold, a lot of good, bad, and indifferent in those. So as two voting members of Critics' Choice, what we want to kind of give you guys today is we're going to break down basically your above the line categories, your lead actor, lead actress, supporting performances, director, and picture. And then throughout that, we'll talk about some of our picks and our nominations, whether they were in there, where they weren't in there, maybe some choices that were a little bit harder for us than others. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at these. And before I put them on the big screen here, Dom, what was your initial thoughts after taking a nice little look at the nominations?
I think what's impressive about this year is, I hate when you get in these conversations with big groups of critics or movie lovers, the conversation comes of, was this a good year for cinema, right? And no one's ever talking about money. It's always talking about how what was the summation of all these great films. And sometimes there is big buzz about a number of films. Sometimes it's like a one clear front runner. And I feel like when there's that one clear one, that's when everybody goes, oh, it was a great year for film because we all know that one movie. But this year, it was kind of spread out throughout the year where we have big ones in, February, March, and then just sprinkled out throughout the year. So I think this was, a more decent year for film than people are giving it credit for because it is harder to pick this year. It's been a difficult decision. And I think this year with Critics' Choice, we've seen that like the true lay of the land of criticism, with it being such a kind of variety of choices out there. And I was really impressed. I was like, okay, we actually got some different things. It's not the ones that you expect always. There's some I mean, we'll get into it once we get to some of the nomination. But there was some I was like, oh, I'm glad y'all picked that because I did too. I didn't think y'all was gonna pick it, but and if people don't know the way that we do the nominations and Critics' Choice is that I feel like a lot of different guilds and stuff do it kind of similar, but when we nominate things, you kind of put this like a point system for your choices, and you pick kind of like what you want to really get chosen at the top. And sometimes it's stuff that you probably know won't get picked by everybody else, but you're just in hopes that like, hey, this is this is the pick. I hope. Um, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, so it looks like Conclave and Wicked led with 11 nominations, with Dune Part 2 and Emilia Perez having 10. Both of them had 10 apiece. One of the fun facts about Dune Part 2, it was nominated for the same exact 10 awards that Dune Part 1 was nominated for, which is like the first time in history. Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up the best director race. It was quite heavy, a little bit heavier than I kind of anticipated with the best director race. Obviously, we had 8 nominees for best director. You had Jacques Adored for Emilia Perez, Sean Baker for Nora, Edward Berger for Conclave, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, John M. Chu for Wicket, Coriella, whatever, Farget for The Substance, Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys, Denis Villanueva for Dune Part 2. All right, so first question right out the back for you. Were any of your nominations here for Best Director?
Where's the director? Okay, yeah. Ramel Ross was one of mine that was on there. And I think that's the only one that I got, and which I kind of expected because, you know, the one thing that is tricky about we talked about this before with nominations is some of these movies just came out in the last like 2-3 months. They're fresh on your mind, and some of them are really heavy hitters. So we forget about some other ones, which is why we have our, we campaign for things we like on social media and have conversations and whatnot. But yeah, Ramel Ross, which I was hoping and that was the main one I wanted to get on there, and I'm glad that was the choice that happened. But yeah, that's the only one.
For me, 2 of my 3, and for those of you who don't know, we only get 3 picks for our nominations, except for Best Picture, we get 5. But 2 of my 3 popped up on here: Denis for Dune Part 2, and then Ramel Ross was my other pick that made it on the list. Notably absent, which made my heart hurt because it didn't really get a lot of nominations across the board, was Robert Eggers for Nosferatu. Let's see here. All right, we'll skip acting ensemble. Supporting actress, we have Danielle Deadweiler for The Piano Listen. We have Anjanou Ellis-Taylor for Nickel Boys. We have Ariana Grande for Wicket, Margaret Qualley for The Substance, Isabel Rossellini for Conclave, Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. And I'll kick it off here. So to me, I'm 3 for 3 here. All 3 of my picks are on here: Zoe Saldana, Anjanou Ellis-Taylor, and Danielle Deadweiler. 3 of my favorite performances of the year, whether it's in supporting or just actresses or actors, period. Anjanou Ellis-Taylor really gives this insane depth to Nickel Boys, even in the brief time that she's on screen. One surprise here that I really kind of enjoyed, because I see a lot about the person that she plays opposite of in the film, but to me, the best performance in The Substance is Margaret Qualley's. So it's kind of cool to see her here. I'm not a Substance fan because I think the third act is a disaster, but Margaret really gave such a fantastic performance in that. So I was kind of happy to see her here because she's not being spoken upon as much as Demi Moore is, and I think that she deserves it. But what about you, Dom? How many picks did you have here for supporting?
2 out of my 3. This category I found to be the hardest out of all of them. There was a lot of great supporting, especially when you look at just Emilia Perez. I mean, you're like, which one do you want? But yeah, I got Zoe and Anjanou in there. I thought that Natasha Lyonne should have been in there. But like I said, with History of Daughters, you could have picked any of the three, but Natasha, I thought killed it.
Yeah, I love that
And
movie.
I knew it was going to be kind of a long shot, especially because there is three that you could pick from. But I think I think she knows that she was in the conversation.
For sure.
But yeah, it was a tough category, man. It was really tough.
Yeah, it's really deep. When you can only pick three, it makes you sit down and think about it. Because for me, like that's she was on the cusp there at four, and I'm like, man, I really want to put her there. But then I was like, man, it's just like it's a jockeying for position, and I kind of felt the same way a little bit here for supporting actor. You had Yura Borsov for Honora, Kieran Culkin for Real Pain, Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. Um, I have two of my three here. If anybody knows me, you know it's Culkin and Washington. But I just want to talk about how much heartbroken I was. The fact that we didn't hear Brian Tyree Henry's name,
I know.
because it really hurt my soul because I thought he's fantastic in A Fire Inside. And I'm looking at this entire board of supporting actor nominations. I love seeing Edward Norton's name on here. He was number 4 on my ballot, but Tyree Henry missing was kind of a shock to me. I just felt like his performance is rather good. Maybe just a lot of people didn't see the film. I think that could be it too.
Yeah.
But how many picks did you have here make it in? And yeah.
3 for 3.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and and again, like you bringing up, like I left Denzel off my ballot, and I
I
left
almost did that.
Brian.
I'm so mad. I
I
almost did
did,
that too.
and I left him on there because I knew I just knew that they were gonna make it in. I figured, and that's the thing too when we're doing our nominating, you have to think like, okay, I really like this one person who may have trouble or may need help getting in, but I knew Denzel was going to make it, and I just knew. I mean, I thought I knew that Brian Tyree Henry was going to make it in there, so I was like, I had him on my list. I had Denzel, and I was like, not gonna leave them off because I'm pretty sure they're going to make it. But I had Kieran, which I should have known he was going to be on there, but
Yeah.
I was, it wasn't a movie that was as widely talked about as I thought it was going to be. Then Clarence, and then Yura.
Oh no, not you. Oh, that's painful. It's hard. It's like whenever you find out your good friend backstabs you. But but yeah. This is it's pretty solid. Did you watch The Brutalist yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start on a side tangent. Hold on. Hang on.
Look, man.
Hang on. Let me get this thing on. We gotta talk. Let's stop mid podcast talking about these award shows. Can we talk? Okay. Well, did you like the movie?
Okay, this is one. Okay, this is one of those ones where you go. I personally didn't get a whole lot out of it. Now I can get why people would like it, and it's the technicality and the storytelling, but I just was like unmoved because I as much as it's an immigrant story, but it didn't really give off like, I don't know, it didn't give off that I should empathize with this guy, but and also didn't give off that I should root for this guy. It was kind of just happening. Like the beginning, you're like, oh, this is real fucked up. This whole thing that's going on, and him trying to do what he's, get his family and things of that sort. And then I just didn't feel anything for 3.5 hours. I was like,
and he just moved in and out, and I'm like, this guy's a fucking asshole. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so like to me, like I felt like the real American dream story was like Minari. Like that movie was a great. The idea of the American dream was so perfect there because the guy was easy to root for, and yeah, he was a little rough around the edges too. But like, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't
Any of it. None of the performances moved me. Technically, whatever. Like it just felt like it went on forever.
And the weirdest part to me of the movie that felt For one, I was very upset, and maybe it's why it doesn't hit as hard. The story's all fiction, like, or the character's fiction at least. So I thought it was a real person going into it until I
It's
looked
like
it up and I was like, oh,
loosely based. Yeah, it's like
yeah. It's
yeah,
like, yeah, it feels like it's an amalgamation of different people or something like that.
yeah.
And then, but the one thing that was weird to me that felt almost out of place was the Guy Pearce scene,
The
and
grape scene.
yeah, and I was like, this felt out of place. Like I don't know, and I just don't. I don't know if it was. I mean, it couldn't have been for anything other than a selfish reason because he was hoping that, like, oh, he's not gonna know. But I don't know, man. It just, as much
It's just
as it
not.
got,
It's just not good.
no, and I, I think this is like we talked about this before. I think this is one of those movies that you feel like you're supposed to like it. You
Yeah,
feel like
100%.
you feel like if you're in a conversation with people who love it, you can't say anything because you're like, maybe I watched it wrong. And it's like, no, you watched it the way you watched it. Like, it could have, and I thought it was going to be a beautiful movie when they were talking about like this architecture and all these things, and I was like, we didn't even get what it was serving. Like, what it was trying to serve in some instances, and I was like, so I wasted a lot of time.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's the thing about it is so the first hour and a half or whatever pre-intermission, it was okay. Like people were talking about that's the best part of it, and then people were like, oh, it's groundbreaking, blah blah blah. And I was like, the entire second half of that movie, I swear to God, it was 7 hours long.
yeah,
It just kept going on, and then when you get to that scene that you're talking about, I almost just wanted to turn it off because I'm like, what is the like?
it felt
What are we doing
cartoonish.
here? It did
Yeah,
because it's like, what are we doing here? There's no substance, as you could say, to what's transactional here. Like there's it just what it felt like a complete waste of time. Like the
yeah.
entire
What was the
movie.
purpose?
What was the exactly? And everybody's, oh, it's this American dream, and it tells this great. No, it doesn't. Just stop.
I
Stop.
rather watch
You're
first.
lying to people.
I rather watch First Cow, man.
There's just there's so many things that I would rather I would rather have watched. I just you know
I think the story, it would have served itself better if it was, if you would, and I said it's kind of similar about another movie, but if you would have kept that story, the its front story, the forefront story, in the background, and you focused on him struggling to, you know, get his family and that dynamic of like this, growing issue. Um, I think that would have served it better because you would have saw the struggle to achieve and maintain the American dream, and with vague context, so you can kind of make a little bit of what's going on, in your mind, what's going on in his daily life, and focus more on the family issue, because I mean, it's essentially watching somebody go to work every day.
yeah,
You know what I
and to
mean? Like,
me like Brody's performance felt so like over dramatic. Like it felt like
yeah,
it was
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
overly dramatic,
Like
and
it
it
was
felt
supposed to be this like tortured artist, but they didn't serve him as a tortured artist.
right. It just served him as
Just
a
like I eat, sleep, and drink my creation, and you're like,
yeah,
all right, I get
yeah,
it, but like,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
I'm glad we're on the same page in that. And that's the difference. Like, I don't care if I'm supposed to like a movie. If I don't like the movie, we're gonna tell you we don't like the damn
Yeah,
movie.
and my thing is too is that like, it's some, I know we talk about media literacy and we talk about, um, artistic choices and whatnot, but at some point, something like that, you need to serve a broader audience. If you're going to serve 3 hours, you need something to bring in a larger audience, because as much as you want to tell this poignant story and do your thing, you also want to people to watch the movie, and I feel like this is going to have a lot of people, like someone's gonna oversell this to their friend, and then their friends are gonna see it and be like, what the hell did I just watch? And now you have just pushed a whole, you know, line of people away from, A24, or a whole bunch of people off of, this direct. I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like, don't oversell this movie, man. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is, but it's not like the best thing since sliced bread. Come on now.
Yeah, there is. Oh, it's the best picture of the year. It's the best directed. Shut up. No, it's not. All right, back on to the positive nature here of the Best Actress category for the Critics' Choice Awards. We had Cynthia for Wicked. We had Carla, Sofia Gascon making history for Amelia Perez, Marianne Jane Baptiste for Hard Truths, Angelina Jolie for Maria, Mikey Madsen for Honora, and Demi Moore, The Substance. All right, Dom, how many of the 6 did you have in your 3?
I think I had 2 of my 3 are on there.
And they were.
And I've been holding on to. I knew she'd be on there, but I had to put it on there because I felt so strongly about the performance of Mikey. And of course, even though I didn't have this movie as one of the best movies of the year, but I love the performance. Angelina Jolie is just, it's hard. Like, you can watch the movie, you can legitimately hate the movie, but her performance is, I mean, just like, I knew the movie she was gonna do great the first scene of the movie.
Yep.
She walks in with this certain like pomp and like and it feels like a justified arrogance. Like, she's put in all this work to be like, no, you're gonna move this piano, dog. Like, and you just like, no, like, how can I tell she's finna be fire in this movie? Carla, I didn't put because I knew Carla was gonna be on there. Like, I knew for a fact. That's
So,
people. People. It seems
yeah,
like, at least in our circles, like the film circles, Amelia Perez has been like the talk for months now.
for
So I
sure.
was like, I already know she's gonna be on that list.
Absolutely. So the reason I had every belief in the world that I thought that um, Angelina Jolie would get in, so I left her off my ballot. And the reason
Right.
and so only one of the 3 of my picks made it in, and that was Carla. My other 2 picks were Lily Rose Depp for Nosferatu and Naomi Scott for Smile 2. And the reason I ended up
Yo, I
leaving,
had Naomi like at my 4. I was like,
yeah,
should I? I don't.
and I put her in there, and that's so Angelina Jolie was my 3, and like was solidified my 3. And then last minute, I was like, you know what? Jolie's gonna get in, and I probably could have done it with Carla too. I just felt better having Carla on my ballot, but
Yeah.
for me, it was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put Naomi Scott's name on here. It's one of the best performances of the year.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's crazy, and I know there's Substance fans out there, but to me, Naomi Scott is better in Smile 2 than Demi Moore is in The Substance. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's not even close. And to
No.
me, she belongs on this page right here. She does. And it's crazy because we consistently let horror movies down. I feel the same way about Lily Rose Depp. To me, Lily Rose Depp should be winning the Best Actress because she gave such a different and difficult performance in Nosferatu. Her facial work, she had to sell 90% of this movie with her face
Yeah.
because the intimidation factor of this uncharacteristic thing that's battling with her. But yeah, it's definitely. But now that I say that, now that the nominees are out, and to me, my pick will come down to probably Jolie and Carla. But yeah, it's definitely a good. Did you watch Hard Truths yet? By the way,
I skimmed it because I was
why is
trying
she
to
so
just.
fucking angry, bro? I mean, I know it comes out of why she ends up being angry,
Yeah.
but like she was just like fucking mean the entire movie, man. I was like, come on, calm down a little bit. But But yeah, all right. So moving on to Best Actor, a category where I'm 0 for 3. All right. So Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, or actually Adrian Brody for Smoking. That's what it should have been called. That's what he does the entire movie. Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. Daniel Craig for Queer. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. And probably this biggest one of the biggest surprises of the show. Hugh Grant for Heretic.
God
Um,
damn right.
um, I don't I'll say how I feel in a minute, but I'll let you go first. But how many of your picks are on here, man?
Like, okay, it's funny because I actually changed my my list twice. Like I had my nominations like saved, and then right before I turned it in, I changed a few, and I actually had Hugh Grant on there, and I took him off, and I'm glad that he's on there because I really loved his performance in that movie, and I was like, oh man, I don't know, I gotta take him off, and then to see him pop up on there, that was the big surprise to me. I was like, oh fuck yeah, like a horror movie really served this great performance. But actually, I only have one, which is Como Domingo for Sing Sing, because I had Timothy, and I was trying, I didn't know which one I wanted to put him down for, but I thought like the Dune 2 was more forceful of a performance. So that's why I put him down for Dune 2. But I mean, he's on there. So which is cool, but I just feel like maybe there'd be there's more of a chance for him to win, I think, because more people have seen Dune Part 2 than they have seen A Complete Unknown, because it is so new. But I mean, he did great. He did great in The Complete Unknown, which is the reason why I've been listening to Bob Dylan over the past couple weeks. But
Same, dude.
I was I was really surprised that that's what he got in for. Um, I'm still I don't believe people believe Adrian Brody belongs on this list.
There's plenty of them. There's plenty of people. Oh, I see it every fucking day, dude. Um, yeah. And for the betterment of myself, I will keep my mouth closed. I went a perfect 0 for 3 on this. I said whenever the nominations come out that I would say that Timothy Chalamet's nomination was for Dune Part 2, even though it says Complete Unknown on there. To me, I shared the scene on Twitter, but if you're looking at like the top 5 scenes, top 3 scenes of 2024, the final the final scene of him when he's giving that speech,
Mm-hmm.
and he's really kind of becoming the Paul that he really wants to or needs to be, almost not even wants to be. I don't think he wants to be, but needs to be. That 3-minute scene is by far one of the best scenes of 2024. And it's not even close. Like that scene should have won him the Academy Award. It should be winning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a groundbreaking performance. The 2 other performances I had, I have to mention them. Andre Holland for Exhibiting Forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's been my number 2 performance, all year.
I have
And
it on my
then
list too.
yeah, and Sebastian Stan for A Different Man. I just
Yeah, so he's one of the ones too I had on my list, and I just got to shuffling, and I was just like, I don't. It was really hard. It was really hard to pick. There was,
this was
I
probably
think,
the hardest category.
yeah, because I feel like some people probably had Sebastian on there for what's
The
the
Apprentice.
Apprentice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As much as they don't, as much as nobody wanted to put him down there because who he was playing, he did a great job. Even though I think he did get out, he got overshadowed by Jeremy Strong. But yeah, I mean, I don't, I really thought A Different Man was going to be a heavy hitter,
Yeah.
and it seems like maybe the marketing push but I don't know what happened, because it's a fantastic movie. It's one of my favorites of the year, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's got painted dust. I mean, I think what did it get? Makeup, I think maybe is the only thing that it maybe got.
Yep.
Hair and makeup, I think. Different Man, yeah, hair and makeup, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's it. Which is insane because even Adam
Yeah.
Pearson it gives a pretty
Yeah.
that too. Not mad about this, and I do think though, if you look at it, I mean, the Brutalist A24, Queer A24, Sing Sing A24, Heretic to A24,
H4.
and I mean, they didn't push A Different Man. I mean, and that's just what it was.
That's true. That's true.
All right, 10 Best Picture nominees: A Complete Unknown, Honora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing, The Substance, and the everything movie that will not get out of my way, and that's Wicked. So hang on, one, two. So, like we mentioned, Best Picture, you get 5 slots. So, of your 5, how many made it in the Best Picture, Dom?
3 out of my 5.
Mine too. Mine too.
Yeah, and I think we probably both have exhibiting forgiveness on here. I don't know if you did. I
Don't
did.
actually.
And I had a feeling it wasn't gonna make it, but I had to put it on my list
I had it 5, and then I swapped it out last minute
because it's one of those.
yeah,
It's one of those ones. Like I think anytime a movie can either make me shed a tear or get close to it, that's a movie I always kind of hold on to throughout the year because I'm not a person who emotes easily, especially in complete sadness. Um, so exhibiting forgiveness, Nickel Boys. Those are 2 movies that kind of Sing Sing did that for me. And I think out of those, Nickel Boys is one of the ones of mine that made it. Doom Part 2, of course, and Honora, but I had a different man that didn't make it, and of course, Exhibiting Forgiveness that didn't make it. So it is what it is. I mean, it's a good list though. Besides, the obvious that we've been talking about.
besides the one movie that we've been burying all day.
Yeah.
So for me, I had Exhibiting Forgiveness at 5. I ended up putting Nosferatu as my number 5.
Oh yeah.
Dune Part 2 is obviously in. Nickel Boys, Amelia Perez. That was my 1, 2, 3. A movie that I refuse to forget, and a movie that is peppered all over my nominations, especially below the line stuff, and that's Civil War. I love Civil War. It's magical. Out of all of these, the only one that made me cry was Sing Sing. Never mind. But that's the thing, though. I love that. I'm the same way. Like, Exhibiting Forgiveness made me feel like a little crybaby. I related to the story of Andre Holland's character so much in trying to find that forgiveness of your past. Like, it's such a relatable film that the depth of that film is like 10 times greater than anything I ever felt through the entirety of The Brutalist. I mean, it truly is. Like, it's such a that's the thing for me. When you look at a Best Picture, it's a movie that makes you feel things, because even if you like people, I don't think realize how similar like Dune Part 2 is to like society of what we're going through right now. Like, it's such a similar beat of what Paul's character is really kind of navigating. And then of course, Nickel Boys speaks on its own beat for what it stands for. Amelia Perez speaks for its own beat based on what it's about. And it's for women trying to become and be themselves. While Carla Sofia Gascon, obviously groundbreaking, nomination. Civil War, I believe, spoke deeply into what society is facing right now in a harsh reality. Even Nosferatu doesn't really speak to anything than fucking haunting your dreams, but the rest of them, like, but a lot of that's what to me is like a Best Picture, and to me that's why some of these movies don't hit that box. But I will say this, I have to mention this. I rewatched Conclave. I watched Conclave in passing, and I kind of got mad at it first because when I'm watching screeners, I'm trying to watch them, but I also have a real life and real job, and we've got kids, and we have all of those things. But when you're trying to navigate screeners at the same time, it started out, there's bits and pieces of it that were foreign, right? There's foreign aspects of it. There was like subtitles and stuff like that. So I felt like I was missing stuff. So then I watched it, and then I was like, man, I felt like I didn't really relate to it, didn't really care about it. And then just one Sunday morning, I was sitting there writing a bunch of articles, and I was like, let's rewatch Conclave. That bitch is a banger. Okay. It's a banger. It's really good. It's not like, I wouldn't be mad if it won Best Picture, but honestly, I'm just gonna and we'll stop the critic nominations from here. But Dune Part 2 is gonna get my vote for this. I don't care if it has a chance to win or not. So
yeah, it's definitely like.
Actually, I lie. It probably isn't gonna get my vote. Actually, I'll probably give it no. So this is the thing. Let me ask you a question. When you vote, do you try to will you try to spread the love of the movies that you love, or do you vote with the mind frame of I'm going to vote for what I have as my best?
I it's hard, man. It kind of I guess kind of the I think I usually try to because it's I usually okay. So usually when we get to this point, there's usually about I say about 5 or 6 movies that like that are within these categories I'm like really hold on to. So normally I will kind of try to spread it out. Like, if let's say if I vote for Dune Part Two for Best Picture, I might not vote for Best Director because like you might win Best Picture. So let me give somebody else some love, okay, dog? Like you can't
Yeah.
win everything. Yeah, it is a very difficult, and I think no one ever talks about how difficult it is to kind of go through that process of okay, yeah, okay, but in your brain you go, well, if I gave it Best Picture, I mean, should I give it the Best Director because it was the Best Picture? I don't know, but then there's so many factors that go into making a movie. It's a whole thing, and it's usually like a two-day process where I'm like, I'll pick and then I'll go, wait, well, I just watched this again, but I don't. And I just kind of, yeah. So it usually is, I think, for me at least, kind of, I spread the love around.
Yeah, I do too because I was thinking about, man, I really want Doom, but then I want to vote for Denis for director, but I'm like, should I go Nickelboard for picture then,
I
type of thing, you know what I
know.
mean? And I feel like, and my thing is this, and I want to be crystal clear when it comes to when we talk about stuff like this, is like my vote is based on what I love. And I
Yeah,
also want to say this, I do not rewatch anything now. I won't rewatch it. That's just me. That's how I do my
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Whatever I watched prior to my vote is the stuff that I will give my vote to. If I watch something, let's just say everything on this list, I think I have seen everything. I'm pretty positive I've seen all these movies, but I won't rewatch anything to influence my thoughts or anything like that based on what I'm about to see. That said, I'm very excited to really sit down and kind of hone in on some of these picks. And then also, what I'm going to really love doing is when we have the opportunity to vote for the upcoming Music City Film Critic Association, I do like to spread some love that we don't get to spread with
yeah,
Critics' Choice. You know what I mean? So I'm
yeah.
excited about to do that. Hopefully, we can have some different nominations, even though I expect to see a lot of the Brutus on those as well, because a lot of those people like that too. But there is quite a few movies coming out over the next few weeks, Dom. This week alone, we have Sonic coming out on. We got a screener of that on Tuesday. Are you going to that? Right.
Yep, yep.
I will see you Tuesday at that. We have Sonic coming out. We have Mufasa coming out. I kind of want to see it. I'm not gonna lie. I really
I
want to
do.
see it. You
I'm
know what I mean?
curious.
Yeah, I'm super curious about that. So I'll probably check that out. I'm actually think that's going to be my Christmas movie. It's going to be my Christmas because it'll be literally the only movie that comes out on Christmas that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
So every year for Christmas I go to see a movie. But all right. So with that said, all right. So these are the 6 movies that are coming out. 7 technically that are coming out that you will be able to see wide on Christmas Day. All right, Dom. I want you to give the folks at home. I'm going to list the movies. I want you to give folks at home. Give them 2 options. You know what I mean? But these are the 7 movies. I'll give you 7 just because there's an Angel Studios movie coming out as well. Friday we got Homestead, Mufasa, The Lion King, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Baby Girl, A Complete Unknown, The Fire Inside, and Nosferatu. All of these are coming out in theaters wide. And I say wide because I'm not going to be like, if you're not like The Brutalist is coming out in LA or whatever during
yeah.
the same time, we wouldn't recommend that movie to you anyway. But that said, what do you think? Obviously, we can't really speak on Mufasa, Sonic, and Homestead, but of those movies, what kind of movies are you recommending for the rest of this month here?
I definitely recommend A Complete Unknown. This is not only like it's giving um, Bob Dylan his flowers while he's still around, but also like it's introducing well, it's showing love to people. They're getting reacclimated to their love of Bob Dylan, but also for someone like me who wasn't familiar with the story, wasn't really familiar with the music, you get this gateway, and Bob is his music's fire. I always heard that he was a great songwriter, but then finally, and we, say how I want to say it, but having a reason to go listen, it was like, oh shit, he's really good. Chalamet is fantastic. It's a great movie. And then I think my second one, to have something that's uplifting, to also give someone their flowers while they're here, and continuing to make history, had already made history through this story, The Fire Inside. I think you gotta go watch this movie. If you love boxing, you love a motivational movie, you love a biopic. It's a little bit of everything. And Clarissa Shields, she's the GOAT, and as much as recognition as she has now, I still don't think it's enough. She has done things and broken down barriers, and it doesn't get talked about on the level that it should be. And then Ryan Destiny, Brian Tyree Henry, a duo that didn't see coming. Fire, pun intended. The movie's great. I thought those are my two recommendations.
Yeah, so I hate to be that guy. Hate to be that guy, but those are the same two movies I've got because I haven't seen Sonic. I'm sure it's going to be a banger. You know what I mean? That's probably going to be your family Christmas movie, that or Mufasa. Yeah. So obviously, if you're taking the family, you're going to take one of them to see one of those two films. I'm actually excited for Sonic because we've got the team reuniting. You got Elba coming back. You've got Jim Carrey coming back. And then, of course, we've got the introduction of Keanu Reeves up in the mix. So I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see that on Tuesday. Very excited, actually. Yeah. But for me, it's also a complete unknown. I love the movie a lot. And actually, I'm going to go complete unknown. I'm going to go Nosferatu just based on if you're a horror fan, definitely check that out. I definitely feel like that's a good movie to see if you got like a teenager that's into horror movies and you're taking them out. You don't want to be too kiddie, but you don't want to be too adulty, but you also want to be kind of creepy. I do think that Nosferatu's there. But the one movie you don't want to do, you don't want to have a family outing with your older mom and dad and go take them to see Baby Girl. You definitely don't want to do that.
Don't let the name or the title of the movie fool you. I do think though that we talked about Nosferatu, which I love. I do think this is a great opportunity to watch an entertaining movie that is also like a masterclass in filmmaking. Mm-hmm. This is, for people who, want to get into film or they want to, understand film and they don't want to watch the Citizen Kanes or things like that. You want to watch something that's still kind of fun or spooky. Like Nosferatu is it. Like it is it's one of those ones, like the only reason I believe that it's not on a bunch of these different lists, you see all the guilds coming out, Critics' Choice and everything else, is because it came out so late. It released so late. And but I'm not mad at it. Like to have this dark movie on Christmas, I think is a genius thing to do, where you're counterbalancing all the brightness and joy of Christmas, and you give everybody this like dark, grim, macabre, sinister type of movie. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. It gives the alternative, but also like I really want to like people, it's crazy because I jokingly said this on Twitter, but I wholeheartedly about it is like I'm so scared that so many people have already seen this movie in our circles. Like it's not going to make the movie, it's not going to make the money it should, because honestly, like I'm hoping this movie makes a lot of money because it's the type of movie that deserves it. It's the type of filmmaking. It's the type of special everything that you want from a movie. It's not original. I understand it's not an original idea because it's based off of these other characters and stuff like that. But to me, it's something special, something different, and something unique. And again, dropping on Christmas is such a cool and crazy and interesting concept for me. But yeah, I totally agree. You can't really go wrong with some of these picks this Christmas. So That being said, you know what? We're going to 45-minute mark. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and nip this one in the bud. I'm gonna save my random picks that I've got ready for Dom for next week's episode. But that being said, Dom, we end every week's episode with the same thing over and over again. We give Dom Fisher one unfiltered minute to speak his mind about whatever he's got going on in the world. And so that 1 minute is going to start here in just a few seconds. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. But before we go, here's one unfiltered minute of Dom Fisher giving you some good advice.
So, in light of recent things that have happened to myself and people that I see out in the world, I'd like to tell you to continue to be yourself and everything that comes along with yourself, your way you think, your creativity, as long as it's on the up and up, of course. But if whatever path you're on, whatever thing you're doing, if it serves you, if it serves your purpose, it serves what you're doing going forward, don't let other people change what you're doing if it's working for you. And whether that's your job, whether that's your friendships, your relationships, be yourself. Let your quirks fly. Let your weirdness be what it is, because the people who are supposed to appreciate it, the people who are going to appreciate you, uh, you'll find those people or they'll find you. Don't change yourself to appease other people, because it's not worth it at the end, and it'll make you unhappy. And your happiness is important to yourself and your mental health. So be yourself, stay true to who you are, and as a Nardwar would say, keep on rocking in the free world.